pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Call the roll.
Trustee Marisak.
Here.
Trustee Youngerman.
Here.
Trustee Bond. Okay. And Trustee Heinz, not here. Missing. Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Smith. Here.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum this evening. We'll move on to public participation. The first one is a public comment period. This is the portion of the meeting where any member of the public can address the board on any topic. If you are one of the other topics, don't feel obligated to speak now. You'll have ample opportunity for the other public hearings if that's what you're here for. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on. We have swearing in this evening. So with that, I'd ask our soon-to-be new village clerk, Penny Fitzpatrick, to join me in front. I think I turned this on. Hopefully you can fire it.
Afterwards, bring her family up. Well, yeah, she wants a picture of her family too afterwards.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Penny Fitzpatrick, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village clerk to the best of my ability.
Like the paparazzi. It's just yours. I prefer it when they run past and high five. That's what I want. Just run by.
One of these times. You know Tom Rayburn?
Okay.
Tom Bessinger program?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I keep up on things.
Apparently I don't.
Okay.
But I want to know.
I'll pull one. No hurry.
There's only 4 other than me. So
I can like them all.
She asked about that.
Got it.
No hurry.
I'm in favor. Thank you. And Penny, welcome aboard. Looking forward to a very long tenure with you as village clerk. Don't forget to pull your packet.
That's the plan.
Awesome. All right, moving on. We have two public hearings this evening. We have a public hearing on MetroNet, and I'll open the public hearing, and I'll invite Kathy Scheller to come down and kind of give us an introduction of what we're talking about.
Good evening, trustees, President. My name is Kathy Scheller, and I'm with External Affairs with MetroNet, a fiber optic company based out of Evansville, Indiana, expanding our footprint into Illinois. We offer fiber optic internet, phone, as well as television, and we're looking forward to bringing another competitor into the marketplace here in Montgomery, and the ability to offer your residents a choice. Currently, MetroNet has over 52,000 customers, subscribers, and we pass over 151,000 businesses and homes with our fiber optics. Recently, in Illinois, we've expanded into Mid-State, into Bloomington and Normal, achieving our local franchise agreements there. More recently, Plainfield, Romeoville, Will County, Oswego, and Kendall County. So we are really deploying our fiber in this area and look forward to, again, bringing another competitor into the marketplace. And really, it's about offering your residents choice.
Very awesome. Thank you. Is there any member of the public that's here that would like to address or speak during that public hearing? And I'm assuming Dale is not one of them.
No.
Okay, then. That
All
was
right.
Some expertise.
I know, right? All right, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and we will discuss this as item for separate action B, I believe. Oh, wait, C. All right, moving on to our next public hearing, we have an amendment on the annexation agreement for Ogden Hill. Is there anybody here that would like to, or first of all, I'll open the public hearing. If there's any member of the public that wishes to address this topic, now is your chance. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and we'll move on. We will be talking about this as item B below. On the consent agenda, we have 4 items this evening. Minutes of the village board meeting of September 12th, accounts payable through September 22nd, cancellation of the October 18th committee of the whole meeting, and ordinance 1733 amending the special use for Ogden Hill, and this is the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, call the roll, please.
All right. Trustee Marisak?
No, you start with me.
First. Sorry. Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Yogerman?
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
All right, that carries for nothing. Thank you. Moving on, items for separate action. Item A, we have ordinance 1741, creating a Class C and Class O liquor license for Binny's Beverage Depot. This is a waiver first, passage on the second. And I'll turn it over to Administrator Zofel.
Certainly, we've talked about this in the past. The Class C would be for their sales, and the O is the tasting license. So with that, staff would be happy to answer any questions.
Are they still on track to open soon?
Yes, I talked to David today. He said they should be turning it over in 2 weeks to corporate to start stocking, and then take them 4 weeks to stock, I believe.
All right. Any comments, questions, motions?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
All right. Trustee Youngerman?
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
And Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
All right, that carries 4-0. Thank you. Item B, ordinance 1743, authorizing the execution of a 5th modification to the annexation agreement for Ogden Hill. This is a waiver of first and passage on the second.
And this amendment is to allow for another monument sign out there for the Bennies, which we had, again, talked about during this whole process, and the board said you were good with, so.
Okay, and there's just 2 things that I would like to note on this item. It is a supermajority vote requirement, so it would require 5 votes of yes to pass. That means the village president can, but is not required to vote on this item. And second, I would ask that it's just made subject to attorney review, because there was a couple details, not with the substance, but just with the legal descriptions and entity names that we were trying to work out. So I would just ask that that be part of the motion as well.
So moved with attorney review.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
All right. Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
and Trustee Youngerman?
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
And Matt. Got to go to Matt.
And Matt?
Yes. Thank you. All right, that carries 5-0. Thank you. Oops. That one. All right, moving on, ordinance 1742, authorizing the execution and adoption of a cable television franchise agreement with CMN RUS, Inc., Metronet. This is a waiver of first, passage on the second reading.
Again, as was discussed during the public hearing, this Metronet would come in and offer TV, internet, and phone, just as another option to our residents. We would be happy to answer any questions.
Is this underground?
Well, some will be
In other words, will residents have their front yards tore up? I guess that's my question.
Typically, what we do is we follow power. So if, and we work with ComEdison. So if they're aerial, we go aerial. If they're underground, we're in the public easements with them. In that public easement, but we do take care of that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
One question that I had is, will you guys be providing service to the entire village, or is this kind of going to be portions of the village at a time, or?
In the attachment, you'll see that we have the boundary of the village of Montgomery, and that's going to be our initial deployment here.
Okay.
I have a question. If you're doing a neighborhood out on the west side and you've got to run lines, does that mean, are you trenching, or what are you doing? If you've got to run to each box.
We do directional boring,
Okay,
so that's how we do it.
okay.
Awesome. Any other questions?
So it's per resident, as they sign up, you'll run it?
Yes, what we'll do is we'll be in the public easement with all the other utilities. So wherever your utilities are in that public section, that's where we'll be. And then if a resident, then that's what we call a pass. So when I said we pass over 151,000 residents and businesses, we call that a pass. And then what will happen is if someone chooses to have our services, at that time, then we'll do a drop directly to their house. This is a direct fiber connection to your home.
So with directional boring, and I'm familiar with directional boring, just for the public purposes, it's a lot less invasive. You can get it exact where you're bringing lines up and that sort of thing. So residents shouldn't have to worry that their lawns are going to be torn up or anything like that.
And once we proceed on, I will just add this, we have come up with a really great construction website. So if residents have any questions or what's going on, they can actually create a ticket in this. And what we've done is we kind of give a tutorial to the villages on what this is about. But this is an opportunity for people. They can upload pictures if they have concerns or just whatever, and we respond within 24 hours.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other comments? I think it's pretty rare when we can say to our residents that now there's another entity in town that's providing, that can provide service for you, hopefully a little bit more competitively. Hopefully it'll raise the bar on some of our customer service in the area. So I think all in all, it'll be a huge improvement, or at least another option for residents.
We look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
All right. Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
And Trustee Spurley.
Yes.
All right, that carries 4-0. Thank you. Moving on, we have item D, Resolution 16-012, authorizing to join the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network. With that, I'll turn it over to Director Hoppenstead.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network, otherwise known as the acronym IPWAMAN, is a statewide membership organization made up of agencies throughout the state. As a member community, in the event of an emergency, we would have the ability to call on other local governments, regionally, statewide even, depending on the scope of the work and the resources necessary, that you can expand the scope of your call. For example, in a microburst or a tornado type event, we might have widespread damage. We would be able to call for assistance from other well-trained agencies who can help us remain focused on the need versus bringing in contractors who might be potentially moonlighting, doing some private work for residents along the way while also on the village's dime. This would come at a significant cost savings to us over contract work. It would expedite the need to get cleaned up after a storm. It's not limited to just thunderstorm type activity. It can also be utilized for water, wastewater, other more specialized areas as well, flooding. There are many testimonials regarding the benefits of being a member of IPWAMAN. For the village of Montgomery, based on our population, our annual occurrence would be $250. I've been involved with IPWAMAN in the past, and I believe in the network, and for that reason I'm recommending that we adopt the Resolution 16-012 to approve Administrator Zolfel and I to act on behalf of the village in joining this strong network. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Questions?
I think it sounds like a good idea, and I appreciate you looking into it and trying to save the village money.
Absolutely.
Thank you. There are no other comments? Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman? No. Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
And then Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
All right, that carries 4-0. Thank you. Item E, we have award of a contract to Geneva Construction for ComEd right-of-way shared use path in the amount of $76,733.
Thank you again. Recently, Engineering Enterprises Incorporated performed a bid letting on our behalf for the installation of a shared use path through the ComEd right-of-way from Gordon to Prescott. The engineer's estimate for this work was over $80,000. However, 5 bids were received, Geneva Construction coming in at the lowest amount of $76,773. This work is budgeted for currently. I'm recommending that we move to award the contract to Geneva Construction. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Yes.
Thank you.
Just confirm, this is, the path is out in Blackberry Crossing area?
It would follow the, I'm sorry, I'm still.
Don't tell me it follows the
I'm still learning
ComEd.
the boundaries of each subdivision, but it will follow the ComEd easement from Gordon to Prescott. Through, I guess that's Blackberry Crossing West.
West, yes. Okay. And then if memory serves, there's no village funds tied to the $76,000 is money that we have that was given to the village by the developer to pay for said project.
That is correct.
Correct? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Currently, is Geneva Construction currently doing any other work with the village?
They've just completed our IRP and LAFO projects.
And if memory serves correct, they've always done a real good job with the village?
Yeah,
No issues or anything?
no.
Okay.
No, they're a favorable contractor.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, motions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
And Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Carries 4-0. Thank you. Item F, we have a recommendation to purchase a Vactron demo unit for $44,449. And I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you again. Before you tonight is a recommendation to purchase a gently used Vactron. The model is an LP 833 SDT. For what that's worth, it's a trailer-mounted hydro excavator from Vermeer. We recently rented this exact unit for a period of 2 weeks. Throughout that time, I was able to demonstrate the value of hydro excavation to my staff. We performed 30 individual work tickets or repairs over a 2-week period. Many of those tickets had been previously delayed for quite some time due to the cost or complexities caused by conventional excavation methods. These units are extremely hard to come by as rental units, but through this unique opportunity, we could acquire this gently used unit for $44,449, which is approximately $19,000 less than it would have cost new. The machine only has 100 hours on the engine, so I think it's a great value, and that's one of the reasons I'm recommending we move forward. The unit would come with a full 2-year warranty, and it would be paid for using a surplus of funds available in the FY17 ERP, the Equipment Replacement Fund. Those funds are kind of left behind by a number of other equipment purchases that were approved earlier this year that came in well under budget. Additionally, in FY18 of the ERP, it calls for $50,000 plus for a purchase of a mini excavator. This would be in lieu of that purchase. I don't think we need both pieces of equipment at this time, so I would forego that for this machine. I'm recommending this purchase in an effort to continue to practice work efficiency at the safest and most reasonable cost possible. If there's any questions, I'm happy to entertain those.
I just wanted to say, well done with finding this piece of equipment at a savings, and you also mentioned in this statement for the board packet that it will save on labor because it's a reduction in the actual number of people that have to be doing the work.
Significantly. I believe that, and I estimate that over the 2-week period, we saved about $70,000 compared to conventional excavation methods. Not to mention that it's hard to even tell how long it would have taken us to complete all those work tickets otherwise.
Great, thank you for doing that.
It sounds like we can get water main breaks fixed much quicker using this method.
It can be utilized on water main breaks, but its most significant value will be in the repair of B-boxes, valve boxes. Sometimes we are forced to call in a contractor to suck out a valve box just so that we can shut down a water main break, which causes the water to run longer, which is more wasteful and can potentially cause flooding issues. If we have a machine at the ready, we'll be able to respond much quicker and get working quicker.
Awesome.
I want to point out that of the 100 hours on this machine, when we spoke, about 20 of those hours are ours.
It may even be more than that.
And Todd also very efficiently has gotten them to credit us for our rental. So it's as if we bought the machine prior to us using it. So again, hats off, and thank you, Todd, for watching out for us. And the best part was when Todd asked the guy how much it would take to buy it, the guy said, well, I don't think we're interested in selling it. And Todd's response was, that's not what I asked. How much is it going to cost to buy it? So he kind of browbeat him into cutting loose with it. So thank you. Job well done.
I appreciate the fact, once again, we're fiscally conservative, and when we see the need to spend money to save money, this is a prime example. We're saving approximately $70,000 on traditional excavation methods, and we're also eliminating a piece of equipment that we may need in the future. So there's $130,000 in savings right there, which more than covers the cost of the equipment. So thank you for looking out for our dollars.
Plus, it fits in our budget. Thank you.
We're
Any
all
other-
very happy about that.
Any other thank yous or anything? Motions?
Streamers,
So moved.
second.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
That carries 4-0. Thank you.
We don't always have feel-good moments.
That's true.
we'll
Do you guys
throw
want to go
rocks
back
at
to
him
that one
next
for a few more
meeting.
minutes? We'll move on to item G, which is the lease agreement for John Deere to replace the village's wheel loader. Back to Todd.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Let's keep the happiness rolling. Just one final item. The background on this, the Public Works Department currently operates a Case 621 wheel loader as an integral part of its fleet. The machine is even more necessary throughout the winter months. Recently, while it was in our shop for some mechanical issues, I observed it there and it caused me to pay a little more attention to it. And in doing so, I learned that over the past 3 years, we've spent upwards of $21,000 on maintenance on this machine. I divided the hours that were accrued on the engine over that same period of time, and we're averaging about $50 per hour to run this machine. Furthermore, the machine is in need of new tires before the winter season at a cost of approximately $12,000. That's on the low end. Currently, the rims have such corrosion and rust that it's hard to get a seal. So the rims may potentially need to be replaced with the tire replacement as well, which would drive the cost up even further. The machine is currently scheduled for replacement in May of 2017. However, I'm recommending that we move to replace this machine immediately. Through the use of a $1 buyout lease structure, we can forego the tire replacement and use the money that would have been used on tires to cover the first 6 months of payments. While we would have to pay a monthly payment for the first year, we could potentially pay this machine off at this time next year with no penalty, which would allow us to avoid the interest payments of 3.75% if we are interested in doing so. In my due diligence, I reviewed Caterpillar, John Deere, and Komatsu. I quickly became focused on the prior two, going as far as to demo both machines. Both the Cat 926 and the John Deere 544H are great machines that would meet the need of the village. Quick review of the attached paperwork would indicate that John Deere is more expensive by about $2,000. However, in the less visible details, there would be some cost for labor that would be paid for separately to Pat and Cat in the amount of more than $2,000. Additionally, John Deere has proposed that we replace our forklift attachment as part of this, a cost of $5,500. That option is not included and cannot be offered by Pat and Cat. Therefore, the John Deere is actually $5,500 less expensive. For this and a number of other reasons, which include but are not limited to the following, I'm recommending that the John Deere 544H be purchased. John Deere's machine is more operator intuitive. It has fewer bells and whistles that can become issues down the road. They offer a pay-as-you-go preventative maintenance structure. Their warranty includes the transportation and cost of a loaner in the event of a breakdown, the convenience of their local service center, the strong, consistent reputation of the company and the local dealership, the fact that the machine is built in Illinois, and their price includes the new forklift attachment with the JRB coupler, which is more widely used throughout the tool attachment rental industry. In the event that we need to rent something, we'd be able to find something that will attach to our machine. Unfortunately, Caterpillar uses a proprietary coupler. It's a little bit harder to come by. Furthermore, they have offered us the best trade-in allowance of $47,000 on our current machine versus the $36,000 offered by Pat and Cat. For those and a few other reasons, that is why I'm recommending the John Deere at this time. I'm happy to discuss if you have any questions.
Todd, will you clarify the wheel loader that we're trading in? Is that the one we put on the surplus list? I believe it was at the last
Correct.
meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
And at that time, you may recall, I said we can certainly keep it as long as we need to, but in the event that I was still structuring the details of this, so we kind of knew it was coming, but I wasn't prepared to ask for that at the time. So in the event that you move forward on this early replacement, then we're geared up and ready to go to use that as a trade-in.
Thank you.
We would receive this prior to the winter?
Yeah, it's about a 45-day lead time, so if I place an order tomorrow, we'll have it before the snow flies, hopefully.
And I just want to point out, because I had a pretty lengthy conversation with Todd Friday evening about this, and versus the Caterpillar machine being that they're a local company and everything. And Todd pointed out that this machine wouldn't be manufactured here. They don't offer this small of a machine out of this plant here. It comes out of Peoria. And with the multitude... Oh, I'm sorry.
The 926 comes out of
North Carolina. So, I mean, I really pressed hard a little bit because Cat's a local company, and he really did his due diligence and stands behind the recommendations. So I completely support that. You know, he really did look at it with all the attachments and the details. Just the transportation of a broken machine alone would offset the difference in cost. So, thank you again for this as well.
You mentioned you might pay this early. That means it's going to be in next year's budget maybe, or back to Justin?
It's currently
In 18, but
in FY18, which is for purchase of May of 2017. So if we move to begin the lease now, we would have to pay a minimum of the 12 months on the monthly payment to avoid any penalties. But we can potentially pay it off as early as next September, October, this time next year.
okay.
Otherwise, if finance would prefer, we can continue with the monthly payments for a period of 72 months, 6 years, at 3.75% interest.
Okay, fine.
At which time there's just a dollar buyout. So
And the life expectancy of this type of machine is?
certainly you can get beyond 6 years. You can probably get 20 years out of this type of machine if maintained well. But what we've found, at least in the historical practices of maintenance at Public Works, that they start to accrue a lot of maintenance after 6 years. So the reliability goes down and the costly repairs go up. I think if we traded every 6 years, we'd avoid a lot of those maintenance costs, and the residual value would be much higher. And after this initial one, we can probably stay on the consistent trend of paying very little because we'd be recuperating so much of our cost. Otherwise, we can continue to keep the machine for 10 years as the current machine has been kept, only we'll improve our maintenance on it.
Are we also looking at the maintenance agreement on this?
Yes. That's a
Okay.
separate operational cost, but the John Deere allows you to have a pay-as-you-go maintenance, preventative maintenance, so they, through GPS, can track how many hours are put on the machine. They send us a bill each month for the number of hours times their rate of, I think it's $3.95 an hour. So if you use it 10 hours in the month, you get a $40 bill. At the time at which it requires maintenance, they know before we know. They call, they schedule the appointment, they come out and they service it, and there's no additional bill at that time. It's already been paid for through the monthly accruance. With Caterpillar, if you participate in those arrangements, it's based on an expected usage, which municipalities typically don't use it as much as the contractor world, and therefore we pay for a lot of things that we'd probably never see or get.
Any other comments, questions? Motions?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman?
Yes.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
And Trustee Spurling?
Yes.
And that carries 4-0. Thank you. All right, moving on. We have one item for discussion this evening, Little Free Libraries.
Okay. This is being prompted by a resident who reached out to us. He came a while back and spoke at the board meeting about putting one up, and he came in to talk about getting a permit and actually installing it at this point. Where he wants to put it is on village property. So that is allowed with permission from the village, but we just want to take this time to have a policy discussion with the board on if that's something we want to allow, knowing that if it's on village property, Public Works will probably end up being the ones maintaining it. We will have the person sign a stewardship agreement saying they will maintain it, but if they do not, we don't really have a lot we can do, if they should move, anything like that. So as these become more prevalent, we just want to have that discussion with the board that if you're willing to let people put them on village property, and then if you are, just the understanding that that will probably mean that Public Works is installing, maintaining, taking care of them, so.
Were you able to check on the one I asked about in Foxmore Fairfield? If that was on HOA property or?
I believe it's on village property. We checked.
Okay.
And your guys installed that, correct? Or not that one?
That was before, I think.
We recently installed a post for one on the Fairfield side. They mounted the actual Little Free Library to the top of the post, but we set the post in concrete and did all that work for them. We did not install the one on the Foxmore side, but I believe they're both village property. Park district.
Yeah, I think the other one's, I think the Fairfield one's Park District property.
Do we know how many we have at this point?
I do not have a tally off the top of my head, but I know of those two.
3. I know there's one in Lakewood Creek at a private residence, right on Avalon.
And no one knows of any inappropriate uses for these? There are no issues with these so far?
Not that's been reported to me.
None other than damage. They get damaged quite often.
They're subject to vandalism frequently.
I would like to think that, although it's on village property, that we would have somebody, if somebody wants to do this, and the Montgomery Foundation donated this to this individual to install somewhere for public good, there ought to be a way for us to figure out that we can find a spot on village property that doesn't require our Public Works guys to maintain, to have anything to do with what's going on inside the, what material's on it. If it gets damaged, if it gets torn off, we, have a plan in place where we hand it back to this gentleman or the backup steward. I would think that we could have a backup one being the foundation or another resident that could take over in the event need be. But I don't want to see the village to incur cost in installing these or maintaining and that kind of thing. It just, you have so much to worry about anyway, and this is not vital.
I have no issues if they're on public property. It's disheartening to hear that they're vandalized, but I have no issues at all with them being on public property.
My question and my concern is the liability about policing of the content. When it's on private property, Matt's responsible. If it's in Matt's property, he's responsible for what's in there. If it's on our property, public property, who's responsible for monitoring that content? To say somebody goes in and puts something inappropriate in there, I would hate to see the village have a liability issue that now we're allowing pornography to be distributed through this thing because somebody stuck it in there. That's my concern, is the liability end, and you can speak more to that than I can.
That was going to be my question, is who's policing it?
That, when it's not on private property, now the steward would be the person, I'm certain, that would be monitoring the property, the content.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the liability issue of what happens if the inappropriate stuff is in there, does it come back to us?
Sure. As with anything else, free speech stuff kind of gets a little bit complicated. But you can always write something in an agreement, that they agree to take control over that and monitor it. However, the real problem becomes the enforcement, as you mentioned, where, okay, they can agree to do something, but if it is happening, is the village going to send people out? What does happen if it gets reported? What is the village's role and how involved do they want to be then in that? And there's no necessarily legal restriction saying you can't have this in there, but just from a public policy standpoint, if it's prohibited and the village doesn't want it in there and there's an agreement in place, the question is how does the village then want to react to that and how much involvement do they want to have? So, we can write things in an agreement, but, again, how are we going to enforce that agreement is the question.
And I really think that these are great, and it's a great thing, and the kids love them, and they go to them and use them. I know that there was one by my daughter's preschool we used to go to all the time. But on the other side of this, I just need to make sure that we're covered on the village side.
Yeah, I would hope that, and I think they do have signage that indicates who's responsible for it, or at least who the funder was. It won't, we can do anything really. So we can have something saying that this is the steward for this, and I think the steward might even like, the recognition for that work. But it would ultimately be once there's a post in the ground, because I think if it's on our property, we would want to be involved in that. But the cost of that, I think, should be fronted by the foundation or somebody else to put that in. But once it goes above ground, we have no involvement. If there's concerns with that, then it's brought directly back to the steward. And if it has to come down because of lack of maintenance or whatnot, then we'll do that and be done with it.
The little library downstairs, I've thrown some books down, Westerns, and are gone right away, but it's also taken care of by the Friends of the Library. Mm-hmm. So you know who they are. They do a great job of coming and checking them all the time. And things change down there pretty rapidly. But at least you know there's a steward there of taking care of it. And that's what I agree with Doug. If you got it out there and it's on our property and somebody runs over with a car and it's like that for 3 weeks, you know that Todd's going to get a call on it and say, the thing on village property is knocked over, when you're ever going to fix it, type of thing. So,
Right. And
but I think you're right. If the foundation would step in and
I think the foundation kind of has to, be the entity that kind of backs these up. I think the difference with downstairs is you're coming into a village facility, and so the understanding from the public is that this is an okay thing to come, and the books should be appropriate.
and they have stickers on all their books too.
Right. If I were to put one of these in front of my house or in the middle of a park, I don't think it carries that much certainty or, that level of, the village has blessed everything that's in here, or somebody has. You understand that this is something in a park that anybody could have put something in. And generally speaking, you know, if we, and I have not come across these with my kids, but somebody at work had, and they would go there with their kid every time, and they'd pull the books out together. So I think it's something new for us. They're pretty popular nationwide, it sounds like now. And we can kind of see how it goes, and if this agreement kind of thing doesn't work out with the individual, then we'll know and we'll adjust accordingly. The benefit is to get this more into a public path where more residents will see this and stop and read a book and all that. As opposed to if I put it in my cul-de-sac, you know, my kids will take the books out of it. That's about it. So,
One other question we just wanted to cover is, as currently written, the Little Free Library is supposed to be within 3 feet of the property line. The thinking being that it would be near the sidewalk, on the sidewalk. The one being proposed is actually going near a gazebo, and it's sort of in the middle of the property. If everybody's okay with that, we just may have to bring a change to how it's currently written, because right now it's, like I said, it's stated that it needs to be within 3 feet of the property line.
and that's in an effort to keep it close to, not public right-of-way, but public areas, so that you're not going onto private property.
Right.
Okay. That direction? All right. Thank you. All right, moving on. Any new or unfinished business?
I have some. More praise for Todd. He didn't know this was coming. Hold on, I gotta find it now. Okay, just a little bit of background. In my neighborhood, we are tearing up driveways and reinstalling driveways. And the person who's on my HOA board with me, who's been handling the whole project, happened to be on site when there was a little bit of a problem. So he sent this over to the board, and I just wanted to share this publicly. We will have the driveways framed, new gravel, blah, blah, blah. If all goes well, we were having inspection on Friday. If all goes well, we'll be pouring on Monday and Tuesday of next week. We did encounter some problems earlier in the week with 3 units on Lexington Drive where the sidewalks, which are the city's responsibility, crossed the driveways. It was evident the city poured some new sidewalks and aprons in this area, however, did not install expansion strips between the aprons and the sidewalk. Okay, that's all blah, blah, blah to me. As a result, when we started to break up the cement on the aprons, the vibrations caused the sidewalks to crack and deform. Since I was on site and I didn't have any numbers available for village contact, we went through our management. Okay, here's the part, the important part, sorry. We got a hold of Mike Klupar, the building inspector for the Village of Montgomery. Mike was on site within 15 minutes, and after reviewing the problem, agreed it was not the fault of our contractor. However, he would have to contact some additional people at the village for further review. Within a half an hour or so, Todd Hoppenstead, Director of Public Works, and Gary Bayers, Street Supervisor, were on site for the project review. They both agreed with the earlier findings and have also agreed to have our contractor quote on the removal and replacement of 13 blocks of sidewalk, blah, 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 blah. We had Todd's approval by about 5 o'clock, and we were able to continue with our project the next day. The reaction of the village management group was exemplary, as well as the courtesies they extended. I believe a letter of thanks is certainly warranted. I told them I would just read this publicly for you. So we really appreciate that everyone got out there very quickly, and we were able to continue our project. So thank you very much.
Any other praise?
Todd's the best.
I have one. I was at a dinner at Eastview School 2 Fridays ago, and I met with the principal from Boulder Hill, who had high praise for our police department, that even though they're not in our jurisdiction, they had an issue that arose at the school, and our PD responded and calmed the entire situation down, handled it, and had it resolved within, I think it was within like 40 minutes, they had it resolved. So this principal went out of his way to make sure that I mentioned it, so I passed it along to Jeff and Matt and the chief and deputy chief, and they reached out to the officers and let them know. So they're great job. It really felt good sitting there having this guy tell me this great story, and then to be able to share it back.
Yeah,
So
thank you very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I would say I won't mention how the Green Bay Packers looked so great the first half. They really did, but I'm wearing the Wisconsin shirt for Tiff's memory, because this was her, but this will be the last time I wear it, because,
Just to
Okay.
clarify, she is still with us.
Just for clarification purposes, you have Ohio State still ranked number 2.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
We move on.
Thank you. All right, hearing nothing further of substance, we have future meetings, village board meeting on October 10th, and the committee of the whole meeting for the 18th has been canceled. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for 2 reasons, to discuss collective negotiating matters and the employment of an employee.
So moved.
Second?
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Thank you.